All right, Chief Greene, welcome back to Selma as Selma's police chief. Give us a summary of your history. When did you start in law enforcement, and the number of times you've been police chief here?
Well, I started in Selma as an officer in 1982, and worked my way up through the ranks. In 1993, I was promoted to assistant chief. In 2001, I was promoted to chief of police. I've served as chief of police for the city of Selma on 3 different occasions, this being the 3rd occasion.
So, from the time that you were first a patrolman up till now, have things changed in law enforcement in general since then?
Drastically. We have a new generation that we're dealing with now. When we had the police department populated mostly by baby boomers, they had a very strong work ethic, and they believe in coming to work every day, doing their job, and going back home to their respective families. But now we have the millennials. They are totally different. So what police chiefs have to do nationwide is to know the characteristics and the tendencies of the millennials and how to relate to them, because when they come through the door, they want to be chief the first day. And they don't like supervision, and they don't like to wait for anything. So it's just very difficult dealing with millennials and getting them to follow policy and procedures. So you have to learn their tendencies and learn how to relate to them, learn what their strengths and weaknesses are, and try to benefit from those positive aspects that they have.
Have you lost some officers since you've only been here a week or so, but have you lost some officers?
Yeah, I had a departmental meeting the first week, and I basically told them that I wanted them to adhere to the policies and procedures that are already in place, and that they claim, I had heard that they were complaining about some of the policies being outdated, and I told them before I leave I had intentions of revising that policy manual or policy directives, because I consulted with a company when I was at the Chiefs Conference that specialized in policies and procedures for agencies, police agencies in the state of Alabama. So it would not be a time-consuming process like it's been in the past, because if a chief sits down and rewrites a policies and procedures manual, it normally takes a year or longer, because he has so many other things he has to do, and it's a time-consuming process. But hopefully I can get that done for them before I leave. And I just want them to come aboard and understand that we need to provide police protection for the city of Selma, that I try and work hard to get them all the tools they need to do their job effectively. And hopefully we have so many vacancies. One of the things that I would like for the city of Selma to do, since we have so many vacant slots, take some of that money that we leave in those vacant slots and give the officers who are already here a substantial pay increase, and perhaps we can keep some of those officers and they'll stop running to other agencies, because that's one of the reasons why they run for higher pay.
What do you think is a good salary for Selma to be competitive with the other areas in Alabama?
Well, the starting salary now is $37,000, and that would be a very good salary, a starting salary for a police officer in the city of Selma. And I think we got a good financial report last night. I was at the council meeting, and with all the vacancies that we have, I don't see why we can't pay those officers that amount of money.
Now, a few other questions that people want to know. Number one, first of all, would you consider being a permanent chief for the city of Selma?
No, I love Selma. I don't mind helping out. I will help the permanent chief when he comes aboard, but I have no intentions of ever serving in that capacity in as a permanent chief ever again. I like being retired. I enjoy my retirement. I paid my dues, and this is just time to relax, and I just want to help them get back on the right track and go back home.
Now, you worked with Chief Tate. Would you consider him one of your mentors, or he helped train you? Is that accurate?
But Chief Tate and Chief Joe McGrew, you know, I don't know whether you're familiar with him, but he was the assistant chief when I came aboard, and he and Chief Tate and I worked on the night shift for years together. So yes, he was a tremendous asset to me when I was a young officer working in the patrol division.
The last time I spoke with Chief Tate a couple of years ago, he said that he used to have the patrol officers patrol strategically throughout the city, and then that he would go out sometime to make sure that they were doing their job. Is it possible with the number of officers you have to be able to increase patrols in a police presence in the city limits?
I've always been a strong advocate of patrolling neighborhoods. I don't care how many officers you have, that can still be done. As a matter of fact, I think it was last Monday, officers were patrolling in the area of Edgewood Street up off Highland Avenue, and we had several suspects shooting an occupied dwelling. But those officers were right on the spot and arrested them immediately. And I've been pushing that for years. I don't like for officers to ride up and down the main thoroughfares. I want them in the neighborhoods. I want the citizens to see those officers, because when the citizens see the officers in their respective neighborhoods, they feel safe. It reduces fear levels. And some of the hot spots where we have a whole lot of crime, I like to saturate those areas with patrol officers. And one of the things I told the officers when I came aboard last Monday, I want them in the neighborhoods. I want them to patrol the neighborhoods. I don't care how many officers we have. I want them to patrol those neighborhoods.
Do you have the equipment that you need so that your officers are not outgunned, by the criminal element? Are they sufficiently equipped with the right bulletproof vests and other materials that they need?
Yeah, they have most of the equipment that they need, but one of the things they're in dire need of, they need vehicles, and that's what I've been trying to get for them. I was in Montgomery a couple of days ago looking at some units, and they didn't have what we needed. As a matter of fact, they were just about out, but I've found another source to get some vehicles, so I'm working on that as we speak.
So you can't get them locally? They don't handle, the local dealerships don't?
I haven't had an opportunity to speak with the officials at Long Lewis Ford, I believe, but I don't think they serve the police package, sell the police package that we're looking for. A lot of times a local dealership will get angry if they don't have the state contract bid, because you can get it cheaper off the state contract bid. But a local entity, is my understanding, unless the law have changed, they can charge you 3% higher, but agencies are always trying to save money. Then you have the local entities, they want you to keep the money in the city, but we have a budget that we have to try to comply with also. And sometimes that causes some problems, but I don't think they have what we need.
So now, I understand that there were some officers before you became who were using police vehicles, and they were taking them outside of the city limits to live, and that they had some problems with that. What is your position on, and that may have been why some of them left, what is your position on officers using police vehicles for personal use or after duty?
Well, I simply want the officers to comply with the take-home car policy, and I've spoke with them about that. We had officers driving to different counties, Wilcox County, Autauga County, Perry County, and I basically told them that can't happen. They have to comply with the policy, and the policy says those take-home car units are restricted to the city of Selma. They can drive 5 miles out, and if I actually drew a simple diagram on the board heading in every direction just to show them how far that 5 miles actually extended, and that was more than substantial for those officers to drive their units. I made an exception for our investigators who are on call. I allow them to drive the units anywhere in the county, but not outside the county, because they're constantly on call. whenever we have a serious crime occur, they come out and investigate that crime.
So what can you do in 90 days? What do you think you can accomplish in 90 days? And presently, where is the Selma Police Department at? What are the problems that you can talk about? And what is it going to take to straighten them out? And can you do it in 90 days?
90 days is, there's not a whole lot you can do, but there are some things that you can do. I can get some of the equipment, hopefully, that they have been wanting to get, and hopefully I can get them some units, I can get them some computer-related equipment. I can install some things in those units that are currently missing. We have some sources. There's all kinds of funds that we're supposed to get by virtue of the Weed and Seed Initiative being implemented here in Selma. I ran across an equipment grant when I was at the Chiefs Conference, and hopefully we'll be able to get those funds to buy whatever we want to buy with that equipment grant that is filtered through ADECA, Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs. So I believe there are some things that we should be able to get that they are wanting to have.
What about internal issues, morale, personnel, recruitment, and how do you handle this, being able to manage trying to keep the violent crime down?
Okay, we still, I think the officers are still doing a great job at combating the violent crime in the community because we have a lot of resources. We have some federal partners who are still assisting us. Of course, we have the local drug task force. Then we have the Weed and Seed Initiative. And we just need to come up with some strategies, some additional strategies on combating violent crime in the city of Selma. It has died down somewhat because a lot of those individuals have been arrested, and they are in the process of going through federal court proceedings. And when they go to federal court, they get the truth in sentencing there, so they don't get off easy. Nevertheless, we still have some shootings occasionally, and in the last week we've had several shootings that we've been dealing with, but we've been handling those problems despite the manpower shortage.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you feel confident that you're able to get the morale back where it is?
Yeah,
And how do you do that? How do you get the morale back in place?
You have to get them something, give the officers some of the toys that they want, and show them leadership. I think show them that how accountable you are. I work long hours because I'm trying to set the tone. I don't work from 8 to 4. A lot of times I work from 8 to 8. Then I'm doing something I've never done. I take work home with me. So you probably got some emails from me around 10, 11 o'clock because I'm working. I come up on the weekend and work. I come to work every day because I want to set an example for them to follow. I want to show them that I have a strong work ethic, and I expect them to have the same thing. So I just want to set the tone.
And so you're also on call? Are you on 24-hour call for certain incidents?
They have to call me whenever there's a serious crime. Anywhere in the city, the shift commanders and supervisors are aware of the protocol when we have a violent crime. They can call me at any time.
Now, I know there was a rumor that the drug unit in the Selma Police Department was shut down or disbanded. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not.
Well, that's a temporary, it was done before I actually took over. And it was done because we had such a shortage of manpower, and we needed officers to respond to those calls in the patrol division. When the dispatcher give a call, they want somebody to respond. When a citizen calls the police, they don't want to hear the excuse that you have a manpower shortage. They want an officer to respond to that call, and we want to assure those citizens that that's going to happen. So we temporarily had to shut that down. It's probably be reinstated at some point, but we needed officers on the street, and that is why that was done.
And so I'm assuming that with the partnerships that you mentioned with the other agencies, I'm assuming the Sheriff's Department and ABI and those other agencies, that's kind of taking up the slack for that?
Yeah, they have been great help. I think if we ever need any assistance from the sheriff department, we won't have any problems getting that assistance. We've always assisted each other, and that will continue. Not only the sheriff department, but if we need assistance from the troopers, we can get that assistance. If we need assistance from any other agency, it won't be a problem.
Is there anything you'd like for the general public to know about what they can do to assist you to help you do your job better?
I want the general public to realize that crime prevention is not the sole responsibility of the police. It's the responsibility of the entire community. So when they see something happen, they witness a crime, we have anonymous numbers that they can call and report those crimes. And don't be afraid to come forward and share some of their experiences with us. Or if they witness a violent crime or any kind of crime, report it to the police.
Now, if there was a time when people were saying they were afraid to report crimes because they thought that there was a leak maybe within the police department, and that if they told on somebody, the people would find out who told on them, and then they would retaliate. Is there a way to prevent those kinds of leaks if in fact that existed?
I'm not aware of that particular accusation, but we have a complaint procedure, and I don't run away from citizens who complain. I don't run away from the news media where they want to come and interview me about any alleged illegal or inappropriate activity at the police department. I believe in confronting problems head on and dealing with those problems, but no, I'm not aware of anything so far.
You also have a secret witness line, right? How does that work with a secret witness line?
Well, you can call and give information, and your identity will be kept anonymous.
Okay, I think that is basically everything. Are there any other concerns that you have, given the 90-day amount of time you've got?
Well, my only concern now is manpower. I didn't share this with you, but shared it with some folks at a Weed and Seed meeting yesterday, that in 1997, Selma had 68 officers, uniform officers. In 2004, there's a picture over there, we had 61 officers when I was chief of police. Selma has 32 officers now. So that is a tremendous drop-off. And, I feel like the police department is just going to have to be rebuilt. And I indicated to those officers when I had the staff meeting initially that, there's some bad apples in every bunch, in every profession. But I know that we have a few good officers here, and we are going to rebuild the police department with the good officers that we have. And even when I leave, I would be willing to serve as an advisor to help the permanent chief to get this police department back on the right track.
And will you be involved in helping select the next police chief?
Most definitely.
Do you think that's important? What do you think you bring to the table for the next election?
Knowledge, experience. I know the police department like the back of my hand. I've been around for a long time, and the 2 or 3 times that I've left and come back, it's like I've never left the office. When I came back in 2015, my secretary had taken off for a month. The CID command had taken off for 2 weeks, and my internal affairs officer had taken off for a week. And I asked Mayor Evans at the time, "Hey, was this some type of setup? All my key people are gone. I have nobody in the office with me." But the only thing I needed was someone to answer my phone, because the process, the procedures are still the same. The purchase order process is still the same. So I come back 3 years later, it is still the same. I don't have a secretary. I pulled this young lady out temporarily. I finally convinced City Hall to post that vacancy because I got to have a secretary. I don't have a janitor. The janitor thought that he was going to get laid off. And I come up on the weekend and clean my own office. I've never had to do that. Then there are some supplies that we can't seem to get, and I bring my own supplies. Just go beyond the call of duty. And my predecessor left me a lot of work, and sometimes I just have to come up on the weekend when nobody can bother me, or come up after hours, work after hours every afternoon to try to put a dent in some of this paperwork that has been left behind for me. But it's a tremendous task to accomplish in a very short time.
So finally, paperwork is a big part of what you have to do in terms of being chief. That is the administrative aspect of it.
Especially when you let it get behind.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that.